Hey, what's good, guys? Clutch here, Timmy here, back in another video. And for today's video, we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans. And throughout this preseason, we got to see a little bit of what the Houston Texans run game could possibly look like. And throughout the whole training camp process in general, I mean, we got to look at guys like Dameon Pierce. We got to look at guys like Juan Jordan, J.J. Taylor, British Brooks. We didn't really get to see Joe Mixon in preseason at all. But in training camp, a lot of people said he looked exactly the same as he has, which is elite. I mean, he's a top 10 for sure, maybe even a little bit higher, maybe like top 8 running back. But the biggest question after Joe Mixon is who's going to be running back too. And a lot of people thought that very well could be Dameon Pierce, but Dameon Pierce just pretty much this whole offseason, there was a little bit of hype, there was a little bit of excitement, there was a little bit of joy of possibly what he could go back to, if he could go back to what he was like his rookie year, which was I think a 1,000-yard rusher. Just looked very, very great. And he was pretty much carrying this whole offense. And he was the joy to watch this team in general a couple years ago. I mean, that was pretty much the only reason some people watched the team, was just to watch Dameon Pierce, because he was the only real, I guess, piece on the team / offense that we really had. So there's a lot of excitement, as you can understand, for Dameon Pierce. Another year in the system. This would be a second year in the system. Slimming down a little bit, getting a little bit more quicker, learning more about the scheme. But throughout training camp, I mean, you could kind of say in training camp he's been okay, I guess, from what people have said. People that attend the practices, like media members, some people say he's been at least average, he's been okay. But then when you watch him in the preseason games, it's just like, how does this guy have a roster spot? It's like you could put yourself out there and you're going to be able to get at least a 3 to 4 yard carry at some point in the game. And it looked like Dameon Pierce just simply couldn't do that. And I'm not sure. It looks like most of it he's just in his own head, because physically he looks okay. I mean, he's not the same size that he was his rookie year. He slimmed down for sure a little bit, but he looks okay physically. He looks like he can still run. He can still run through players, still make some cuts, but that just hasn't been the case in preseason. I mean, 1 yard carry, 2 yard carry, -1 yard carry. And yes, I understand, not all of it is his fault. A lot of it is bad blocking, but then at the same time, a lot of it is him. He's being a little bit too hesitant. Yes, that is the point of his own running scheme at times, especially with the Shanahan system. At times, you are to be a little bit, not hesitant, but patient. And Dameon Pierce, at sometimes, it looks like he's a little bit too patient. He just needs to go back to his rookie way. I mean, just hit the hole. I mean, I understand the schematic differences from what we were running back then with Pep Hamilton, which was just what seemed like a high school offense almost, compared to now Bobby Slowick, which looks like, of course, one of the better offensive systems and schemes in the league. A lot of teams and a lot of offensive coaches really are just transitioning into running that type of West Coast scheme. But as a running back, I just kind of find it hard to, I don't know, it's just hard for me to understand how somebody can look so good his rookie year. Look like just bounce off of guys, run through guys, make little quick cuts, be quick on his feet, and then look like what he looks like now. And that just tells me that it's all in his head. Okay, but that's enough about Dameon Pierce. The point of this video is who's going to be the running back too for the Houston Texans. And I think it's going to be Cam Akers. I mean, we've seen Cam Akers since the Hall of Fame game, really, against the, who did we even play? I thought it's been such a long offseason. I don't even know. Not the Cleveland Browns. I'm going crazy. The Chicago Bears. When we played the Bears in the Hall of Fame game, we saw a little bit of Cam Akers there. And right after that game alone, it looked like there should be a little bit of excitement for him. And then leading into the Steelers game, of course, and then leading into the Giants and to the Rams. Pretty much the whole preseason, Cam Akers has made plays. And he's been clearly the best running back on the roster that's not named Joe Mixon, in my opinion. And especially in the preseason games where we didn't see Joe Mixon at all, I think Cam Akers has been the best running back in general in the preseason. I mean, just because we didn't get to see Joe Mixon, obviously. If Joe Mixon played, it would have pretty clearly been him. But since he didn't, the best running back in these preseason games, has been Cam Akers. He showed his ability to catch the ball. He did have one, I don't want to say drop, because I wouldn't say it's fully his fault, but he did have one play against the Rams where the ball kind of hit his hands and he wasn't able to bring it in. But, I mean, that's more of a concentration thing, I think. But in terms of just running the ball, having the vision, he had a pretty good games this preseason. It looks like he's had a pretty good camp as well. And for me, if he's not running back too, And for first of all, if he doesn't make the roster in general, I think there's a major problem. I think him making a roster is pretty much a lock as of right now. And if for some reason he doesn't make the roster, then I think there's something seriously wrong with whoever makes those decisions. A mixture of Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans. I'm sure Bobby Slowick has a little bit of a say. But he should definitely make the roster, and I think he should definitely be that running back too, behind Joe Mixon. I think he'll be a very, very good compliment. We saw Cam Akers. For him to be coming off of 2 Achilles tears, 1 on each foot, that alone is just crazy. But, I mean, imagine the Achilles tears, 1 on each foot, it balances it out. I mean, he ruptured 1 on one foot, ruptured the other on the other foot. So, I mean, it balances it out. Because if not, he'd be running like with the... I don't know. This sounded better in my head. But, I don't know. Cam Akers to come back from 2 Achilles tears. Still very young. I mean, he's just turned 25 in June, I believe, the end of June. So he's still a young 25. He doesn't have too much wear and tear in terms of taking hits. I mean, non-contact injuries, that's different. But in terms of taking hits, he doesn't have too much usage in the NFL. So, yes, his age is 25, but when you take away the usage, I think you could say his age, like, he's like a 23, maybe a 22 going on 23 in terms of age and, like, in terms of usage. I mean, with the Rams, he had, I think, his full rookie season, I believe. He played most of it, if not all of it. And then after that, I think that was when he tore his first Achilles, came back for a little bit, got released, this and that, went to the Vikings, and then tore his Achilles again. So he doesn't have too much wear and tear in terms of taking hits. So on that, he should be fine. I mean, yes, his age is 25, but when you look at running backs, right when they hit 28, 29, a lot of times history says that they started declining. But I don't think that's going to be the case with Cam Akers. So if he does make this roster and he does make running back 2, I think he could be a pretty big part of this offense for the next 3-4 years, maybe. I mean, I'm not sure if you would want to maybe take a bag next year and maybe get a starting role somewhere else if he does have a successful year for the Texans this year. But just talking about this year alone, I think Cam Akers can bring a lot of value. Of course, Joe Mixon, as I said, I think he's a top 8 running back in this league. He's probably about number 8, number 9, number 8, number 7, somewhere in that range from 7 to 9. So having a running back like Joe Mixon who can do it all, catch the ball, line up in the as a receiver, run the ball, do it all, and then have Cam Akers who I don't want to say is as good as Joe Mixon because that's obviously not true, with Joe Mixon being a top running back, but Cam Akers can do a lot of similar things. He can also line up as a receiver. Now, again, going back to that, I don't want to say drop, but that kind of concentration thing with the catch yesterday, or not, I don't know when this video is going up, but against the game with the Rams, he did kind of have that little concentration error. So that's kind of, I don't want to say concerning, but I think he can definitely catch the ball. We've seen it in preseason, and we've seen it in training camp a little bit. But everything that Joe Mixon can do, I think Cam Akers can do as well. Obviously not as good, but he can still do it. And as a running back too, I mean, that's your job. You don't have to be the best running back on the team. You just have to provide assurance for the team, come in as a little rotation guy, if you will. And if the running back 1 is to go down with an injury, just kind of replicate a little bit of what you can do. Just help the team as much as you can. And I think Cam Akers can do just that. And then after Cam Akers, that's going to be a little bit difficult. I would think they still want to keep Dameon Pierce. I think they still have hope for him. I kind of still have hope for him. I know he had a pretty concerning offseason so far, especially in preseason, but I don't know. I still have hope for him. I still think he can figure it out. I think a lot of it is just in his head right now. He just needs to stop thinking and just play football. That's what it looks like he's doing right now. He's thinking way too much. He just needs to play football. And so the top 3 running back for this team, in my opinion, it should be Joe Mixon as the running back 1, of course. Cam Akers as RB2. And then Dameon Pierce as RB3. I would assume we keep 4 running backs, and that 4th guy would be Dare. I know a lot of people have been saying we should keep British Brooks. He can play running back and fullback. That would be cool, but I would be more comfortable if maybe we do that and keep him on the practice squad so we could call him up back and forth if we need him. Because I think Dameon Pierce, I know he wasn't that successful this offseason and the preseason, but a guy just doesn't look like what he did in his rookie year and just fall off a cliff. There's no way. The type of runs he was doing, the type of hits he was taking and shaking them off, it just doesn't make sense. There's no way a guy goes from looking like that to looking like he's blind now. He's just running into the offensive line, falling after a yard. It just doesn't look like he's okay. He looks like he's in his own head too much. I think he'll be fine. Just I don't know what you have to do with him. Take him to therapy. Take him to meditation. I don't know. Throw him in one of those rooms. I don't know. Do something with him so he can get out of his head. But he's thinking too much. But this Texans running game, a lot of people have been saying that they're kind of concerned about it, and I mean I can kind of see that. But I don't know. I think it's gonna be okay. The offensive line, I think they'll be at least average. So the running game, I think that's going to help the running game a lot, of course. And then not to mention you have an elite running back in Joe Mixon. So pair up an average offensive line with an elite running back. I think the running game will be just fine. It's probably not going to be no top 5 or top 10 running game. But if it's middle of the pack, like maybe 13, 14 range in terms of ranks in the NFL, then I think that'll be fine because I have no doubt in my mind we're going to be a top 5 passing offense. So pair of average 13, 14th best run game in the league with the 3rd or 4th, maybe even 2nd best passing offense in the league. I think this offense it'll be just fine. A mixture of running, a mixture of passing, but obviously passing being superior with the amount of receivers we have. But yes, the point of this video, Cam Akers should be, and I think he will be, the RB2 for this football team. Dameon Pierce, kind of is my heart that's saying he will be the RB3, but it kind of makes logical sense as well. We still have him under contract, and he's still pretty young. I think, what is he, 23, 24? It makes logical sense to keep him on the roster still. But yeah, I think that's going to be the 3 running backs, so the 3 main running backs, with Dare being the 4th guy, a mixture of special teams and a mixture of maybe possibly coming in, because I have seen guys say that Dare looked good during training camp. I'm not sure exactly how true that is, because in preseason, he wasn't anything crazy. He did have a couple good runs, but I guess in practice, he did pretty good, so I guess that's yet to be determined. But yes, those are my 4 guys. As far as J.J. Taylor, British Brooks, Jawar Jordan, I think they're going to try their best to at least keep 1, if not 2 of those guys in the practice squad. They'll probably for sure get 1. I think one of them will go through the waiver order or whatever it is. But if they can keep one of those guys in the practice squad, I think they'll be fine. And I think they would choose British Brooks just for his versatility in terms of running the ball and possibly being a fullback as well. J.J. Taylor also looked very good. Wouldn't be mad if they kept him as well in the practice squad, but I don't know. Jawar Jordan, I had a lot of hope for him. He looked like he was very confident, determined to really do something, but I don't know. I haven't really personally seen it with Jawar Jordan. Maybe they end up keeping him on the practice squad. Who knows? But yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see for this week, of course. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Central, I believe, is the 53, or is the time that you have to have the 53 guys, so all cuts have to be done by Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central. So yeah, let me know how y'all guys think. It's been Clutch Entertainment, and hope you guys have a good day. Peace.